Good morning, everyone. I'm Jenny, and welcome to my channel. For those of you who haven't been here before, make sure you subscribe right down there in that corner in order to get content and so on. Now, I'm going to be talking about what to expect, what you very well could be going through this week from the 16th to the 23rd of May. Now, before I begin, I am going live on here, YouTube, offering free clairvoyant psychic readings on the 31st of May at 12 noon Mountain Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern, or 11 a.m. Pacific. So, how are you going to ask me a question and get a free answer? Join me live right here on YouTube to get those answers and so on. Now, let's start talking about what's coming up this week. Now, this is a week when you're really going to be doing a lot of confronting things. You're going to be facing your fears more. You're going to be like, you know what? I'm so sick and tired of dealing with this situation or my person or my job, like whatever it is. I'm going to end it. I have to confront it. I have to sign off on it. I have to move forward, especially the 16th and the 17th this week. You know, there's a huge shift. And for those of you who have been paying attention, look back. You have seen what has not worked out for you. You're taking a look at, wow, I'm getting all of these signs that it's just not working with my person, with my job, you know, like whatever circumstances you are. And this is when your soul can give you that nudge, can give you that push forward of, you know what, I have to deal with this. I can't leave it anymore. So you might even find that it could be more emotional, of course. And not only just that, this is a really good time to really indulge in your passions. You know, what are you really passionate about? You know, if you've been looking back this past year so far, you have made certain changes, you know, like we all have, of course, right? However, have you noticed that you're getting more drawn into more of something where you're feeling more authentic? Like, gee, I don't want to be a scientist anymore. Let's just say now I want to more be working more with humanity and so on and helping serve others. So you could find that you're going to have more compassion towards your partners, yourself, certain passion projects, you know, all of those things, and really pay attention to that because that's going to open up new doors for you. It takes time, you know, like I'm always working on things, but you know, it's like I'm busy, so it's hard for me to work us on one thing specifically because my clients, as I've always said to people, that's my priority, right? You know, I'm putting together certain classes and things and projects, but it's going to take longer because I have other stuff I have to balance out as well. So be patient. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? But this is going to be where you're going to really want to nurture yourself, like really take that time and say, you know what? I have to nurture myself more. I have to take like set more stronger boundaries. I have to take time for me. You know, I have to. So if it means that I have to take a few hours off or a day or a weekend or like whatever it is, you have to do that for you because you have to recharge your batteries in order to continue on. Because if you get burnt out, you're going to get sick. You're going to have no energy left, and then it's not going to go as planned. So you have to have that time and space for you, and so on and so on. So you could be finding that you're going to be healing more right now, especially these past couple of days, you know, just from certain situations that you have already let go of. And take a look at 2017, by the way, what was ending or what was starting. You can see similarities coming up right now. If you started a relationship, then it could be ending this week. Or if you started a relationship, then maybe you're getting proposed to, right? You know, all of those kinds of things. Or maybe it's just an ending completely with a certain career, right? Just certain things like that really ponder back. Like, and they're more major things, right? It's not like, oh, I colored my hair. right? It's more major things. So certain times, it comes back up and so on and so on. And this is when you're going to hear, and you have heard, secrets coming out. Like the media, of course, it's obvious that's going to continue on. There's so much deceit, right? But you very well could be hearing more truth coming out from other people, family, friends, your partner, whatever, like just secrets and stuff. And you could be like, wow, really? I didn't know, or thank you for confirming that. I thought so. As you're facing fears and releasing what you've been struggling with, what you suppress, it sneaks up on you, and oh my gosh, it just boom, it just hits you. And this is why you're going to be like, I gotta face my fears. I gotta have this talk. I have to end this situation no matter what it is. So of course it's going to be a little out there emotionally, right? So what you really focus on, you can manifest. So really watch your thoughts, really pay attention to that, right? What we really focus on consistently, you attract more of it. So this is why it's like, okay, I want to do this and this and that, make it happen, right? Baby steps if need be, write it down, allow things to flow naturally. So now if you are like an Aries, you're going to find that you're going to be wanting, like more expansion really in your life. If it's opening up new opportunities, new doors of a lot of growth, you're really going to want to be independent. You could be like, you know what, I want to create my own business now. Maybe I want to expand my business. And maybe it's time that I stand up. I want my promotion. A lot of independence that you're going to be facing. I want my raise. Where is it? Do you know what I mean? But a lot of independence, a lot of expansion in your areas too. You know what I mean? There could be very well certain things that you're going to confront and face and end, right? I'm just hearing endings. Do you know what I mean? I've had enough. I'm done. So if you are a Cancer, this is the time when you really have to focus and nurture on yourself. This is self-care. You know what I mean? If you look at it, you've been doing a lot. You have that energy of wanting to help other people and be there for other people and so on and so on. That's one of your really loving qualities. However, it's like, you know what, I've done so much for this person and that person, especially family connected more so. Family life, maybe you're helping or have been helping out family members, and you're like, wow, I'm getting burnt out or I need space. You have to take this time and space for you to unwind. Like, set some boundaries. I'm sorry, I can't be there 24/7. However, I just need some time and space for me, whatever it is. Really take time. It's so important, so important. Believe me, I get it. I get it, right? You have to balance out your time, space for you so you can heal and unwind and just sit back and look at the waves, right? Or do you know what I'm saying? Now, if you're a Libra Capricorn, you're going to find that you're going to have some kind of a shift in relationships. You might be like, my relationship is not working with my partner. My relationship is not working with my coworkers, or whatever. So you're going to be making some certain decisions, and it's also important, of course, too, to nurture yourself. Some of you might have been going through some health crises, I'm hearing, some health problems and such, and it all comes down to, I know who I am. I shouldn't have to defend who I am. This is the direction I want to go on. I'm following what I'm truly passionate about. And maybe, like your person or your business partner and so on are like in confliction with you. This is when you're going to be like, I got to make changes here. So there is a lot of endings. There still is endings going on right now. Keep in mind, this is a universal 9-year, which is all about completion of situations, of jobs, of relationships, of karmic patterns. Like it goes on and on and on. Where if you're kind of like, like a Leo, you very well could be finding you're more creative. You all of a sudden could have these bursts of energy and so on, right? To be like, you know what? I know my self-worth more. This is who I am. This is the work I do. I'm authentic. I know all of that. Continue going on your path, of course. Scorpio, you very well could be a little bit more emotional. You could be like, oh my God, I really, truly, truly wanted to do this weekend. Or I wanted to go here. I wanted to, and oh, it's just crumbling. I just got all of these other stuff I'm dealing with. Like, oh my gosh, a missed opportunity. Just really kind of take that step back. Things happen for a reason. That really do. Like whenever there's delays and roadblocks, it's that time to say, okay, let me take a pause. Things do come together in the right divine timing. We can't force things. If there's constant roadblocks, that's the universe saying, okay, okay, let's slow down. Let's take a look at maybe this just isn't the road for you, the path for you, or it's just not the right time for whatever reasons, right? So really kind of, look that like with your Virgo, it's all about, Virgo, like Taurus being more grounded and such like that, really coming to terms with, I'm really liking who I'm becoming. I've been really doing a lot of reflection over my life and relationships and so on. I've had to, make changes with certain people and things, but I like me. I like the direction I'm going on, and I really want to start expanding more in my life. If it's personal growth, if it's more in a business sense, like some of you, Taurus especially, you might find that, I'm actually seeing more of my creativity coming out more. New opportunities, new doors, more financial grounding. You're starting to, okay, I can see how things are, how things are coming together even more and more and more. Where Aquarius, you kind of might be like, I'm just kind of going with the flow right now. Be more creative, pay attention. You know what? But just don't copy other people what they're doing is what I'm hearing. That's going to backfire on you. You have to be you. You have to, um, like follow what you're truly, truly, truly drawn to. Like I always emphasize on this. I really, really do. You know what I mean? Like you very well could get, like a lot of different incoming messages and all of these different things. And you might be like, I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm grateful for that. But take a look at what you're getting yourself involved with first. Because if you get involved with certain things and you're like, I don't know, yeah, I'll do that, I'll do that. But if you're not there, if it's just not you, if you can't connect with all of that, it's not going to work. It could backfire. So just really pay attention. We all have our own abilities and talents and gifts and wisdom and knowledge and so on and experiences. Stay true to you. Make sure you stay true to you. I can't emphasize that even more and more and more. When you're being yourself, new opportunities come to you because of your vibrational frequency when you're being authentic, right? So really, really keep that in mind. So you might find May 18th and 19th. May 19th, happy birthday, Claire. Happy birthday, Tom. Aloha. And happy birthday to my dad in heaven, of course, May 19th. May 19th for me, it's always been interesting, I'll say the least. Always has every year. And it's not just because it's my dad's birthday. There's a significance for me. Like certain days, certain that happens for many different reasons. It opens up new things, opens up new doors. And it's like, wow, that's kind of cool. It's a long Labor Day weekend for for people like here where I'm at. We can get snow coming in this weekend. I have flowers outside, like, oh my God, it's like, really? But it happens. It happens, right? So some of you might be getting away, of course, to see family and friends and having fun and celebrating and everything like that, right? But you're going to find, if anything, that, the 18th and the 19th, you're going to want to have more stability in your life, if it's with financial security. This is the time, by the way, where you very well could be working on this week even more with wanting to have more stability financially, right? Making more long-term plans. So, it's like working on projects, or maybe you want to invest, or maybe you want to, like whatever it is, right? Really, just say, okay, create goals. Like I'm a goal setter myself. So I set a lot of different goals and so on and so on and so on. And some short-term goals, let's say, oh, I got to get my hair cut, mark it down. That's a short goal, for instance, right? Long-term goals is working on, you know, things that can take time, right? It can take time. If you want to redecorate your whole entire home, that's not a short-term goal, unless you're just going to throw new pillows in the bedroom type thing, right? But long-term goals, real, don't push it, don't force it. I've had to been very patient myself, due to certain like surgeries and health things I've been going through myself. So my body's been like all over the place right now, right? So it's like, okay, I just got to be patient, you know, let's get something booked in to get it dealt with so we can get everything kind of going back to normal again, and so on and so on and so on. So there are things that come up in our life, no matter if it's a death, no matter if it's something like, oh my God, I got to deal with this. I have to, hey, don't be hard on yourself. You know what I mean? Take a look at all of these different things. So this could be like a very profound thing. And also this weekend, too, look back on 2018. If you can remember, like May long weekend 2018, where were you? What was going on? You're not the same person anymore. Like as time goes on, we can evolve. Time goes on, we learn lessons, of course, but even during that time, what ended, what started, what was trying to happen, that very well could come back again. I've got somebody wanting to come back in my life, that is connected with 2018, by the way. And it'll be my decision if I allow it or not, for instance. And it could turn into something really big, career wise. It can turn into something, you know what I'm saying, right? We all have different things. So really kind of pay attention to that. Opportunities happen all the time. This is why it's like, as we go through these painful situations, you really can transcend forward. Our crises can bring a major breakthrough with new doors opening for you from wisdom learned. I'm an observer, as I've always said. I observe everything and I don't say anything, right? I just observe and I pay attention, and okay, you know. So now that I've seen this, and I mean, I can read things like that in seconds, mind you, right? So there's certain decisions I make, and because I'm like, that's just not going to work for me. I can already see that. If it's a relationship, if it's a job, if it's like whatever, do you know what I mean? Whatever it is. So really take your time. Really take your time. And you don't really need to defend yourself of this, and that. When you're being authentic, that's the only thing that matters. Staying true to who you are. You're going to see more of your self-worth this week, even more and more and more, right? Like even like I said, the 16th and the 17th, you could be facing fears, your fears. It's like, I need to confront this. I can't deal with this anymore. I have to end this situation, right? Or I have to start this situation. How am I going to move forward? Well, I got to take that class. How am I going to start a new this or that? I have to end that. Like all of these kinds of things, they do go hand in hand, but you're going to be doing more of a deeper reflection on self. That's going to continue on and on and on this week. And it's really, really important to look at the reality of what's just not working anymore. Like I've tried so hard to do this and that and change this or change that. And I'm not really seeing anything coming from it, my investment, or I've invested in my relationship and it's just not working anymore. Like whatever it is, yourself. Really pay attention to that, because when you work with the universe, the energy works with you. So as we're moving into May 20th and 21st, we are now in Gemini season. Duality. Gemini, happy birthday, my fellow Geminis. Geminis, what's going to happen? It can be a very busy time. Your social life could really start to get busy. Geminis can be very flirty. You could start flirting with your partner. You could have somebody flirting with you. Things can really start spicing up. things can really start getting interesting, and this is a time when you're going to want to network, right? Network with people, start making some connections. You could be like, I'm going to take that change. I'm going to change my career. I'm finally going to do this. I'm finally going to do that. Connected about career changes more so right now. I used to do I used to do admin work, let's just say as an example, but I don't want to be an administrator anymore. I now want to be a boss, right? Or maybe now I want to, go into a whole different industry or career, be really, really open to that. Be really paid. Yeah, but I used to make really good money working in this industry and I can't give that up. I get that. However, if you're finding that it's something you're not really enjoying, you're not passionate about it anymore, you're just like, oh my God, I just can't, but I need the paycheck. We all get that. However, when you start doing something that you're like, I can still do that work. I have those skill sets and wisdom and stuff. However, I'm actually drawn into maybe working for certain companies. Like it very well could be something completely different, but I don't know if they need help. How are you going to know unless you don't send in your resume or your CV? How are you going to know if you don't look into it? I could give you 101 examples how I made things happen myself. Right? And people are like, how did you make that happen? Because I went for it. I went after it. If you sit back and you're like, what's going to change? Nothing. Nothing. Yeah, but I got to depend on all of these other people and stuff like that. And or my person's just not doing that. So you're going to put your life on hold, waiting for these other people or this person to make this happen for you. Might as well just go sit over there and wait for the rest of your life. I mean, I'm not saying that is going to happen to all of you. Don't get me wrong, right? What I'm trying to say is if you don't take matters into your own hands, nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. Right? So really, really think about that. So things open up. Now, if you are Gemini, let's say, you're going to find you're going to be a lot more creative. You're going to have a lot more energy. You very well could be a lot more flirty, like how you doing. How many of you watch the show Friends? Joey, and he goes, "How you doing?" Right? You might start doing that, or maybe all of a sudden somebody might send you a message, and you're like, "Oh my God!" Like, "Oh wow." And you might be like, how you doing like that? Right? I'm just saying, keep it real, right? It can be a lot of exciting time for you guys. Where if you're like a Sagittarius, you're going to want a lot more stimulation in your life. You very well could be feeling a little bit more restless, where you're like, I need some more action. I need some more adventures, or let me spice up my relationship, or what do I have? And relationships in general could be love relationships. Relationships could be like, what, I'm really bored, right? I need to do something, like let me contact my friends. Let's go to Vegas. You know what I mean? Like just certain things like that. So you might even find you're going to get a lot more spontaneous, a lot more, I have this idea. Let me do this. Travels as well. Like I'm saying, Vegas. I heard Vegas for some of you. Don't know if you're booking a flight to Vegas. If you are a Virgo, right, you might be feeling that, what, I want to learn more. I want to learn more. Really pay attention to what you're drawn towards. You could all of a sudden be like, I want to take classes, or I want to learn more about this. I'm going to go pick up these books. Follow your passion, what you're truly interested in, because this is how new doors can open up. This is how you start to learn more about who you are, right? It's like that book. There was like a lawyer, I think he was like a lawyer, and he became a monk. He gave everything up. It's like The Monk and the Ferrari. I can't remember the name of the book, but it's a true story. He's like, I don't need all of this materialistic stuff. I want to go on my own spiritual journey. He became a monk and all of that. People do that because we all just suddenly make changes when we're ready. It's just like, I've felt this calling to do this or this or this or that. I just got to now do it. Or I just, like certain traumatic events in our life, it does change us, of course. We do transform either way. And some of you might be like, what? I just want to go on a spiritual retreat. I just need space and time for myself, or maybe I want to become a monk, right? So you might even find, like that, and you might find like, what, I need to tweak up my skills. I need to be more creative as well. Writing. Hearing some of you are going to be writing more. Pay attention to your creativity, your creative projects, and so on. So now, even with Pisces, you're going to find that there's going to be more dynamics, more around family situations, family issues, and such like that. You might feel a little bit restless as well, where you're going to be like, I just really want to travel. But I want to travel to where I want to go, not just going on a road trip. I just really have that feeling to travel more and wanting to move, like just really wanting to move. With the word move come in, it very well could be like moving your body a lot more or moving. I'm hearing moving. Some of you very well could feel that, I've been considering making a move, more of a long distance move. I don't see you like just kind of moving into another like location in your area, your neighborhood, or in the same city or town you're in. No, I'm hearing more of a pull towards that. Even some of you Libras, by the way, you could be like, yeah, I'm decluttering now. I've been wanting to clear out a lot of different things. I'm going more soul searching. I know I need to readjust to certain things. I know I have to make certain changes. As far as my work is concerned, maybe some of you are kind of feeling stuck with certain things of, we wanted to do this and that, and or I wanted to do that, but there's just restrictions, of course. That's the government restricting the so-called leaders, as I call it, putting restrictions constantly on us, right? Seriously, but we're not even going to go there. I don't even want to talk about it. So you're going to find that this week as well, for all of us, you're still going to be healing, because we have that Chiron energy. You're still going to be healing from some old wounds. Like old wounds can be very like, childhood old wounds, inner child work. We've been healing, and have you been really noticing your dreams, as I say? Keep track of them. There's messages. We've been healing from certain family hurts and betrayals, and all of a sudden we have those memories sneaking up of, family situations that family members have hurt you, betrayed you, or whatever it is, and you're like, oh my God, I don't want to think of that. Who does? But don't ignore it. It's like, okay, let me look at that. That was the past. And do some reflecting on that and everything like that, or, gee, that wasn't my fault, right? All of those certain things, and then release it and let it go, right? So that is going to continue. Family healing. I'm even hearing Cancer, Leo, by the way. Mother energy, I'm feeling around you. If it's a mother in spirit world, or maybe you should go see your mother, or talk to your mother more. Something connected around that where you can see changes. Pay attention to that. Family changes, especially health wise, and certain things. Like I've always stated, whenever we have that feeling, I got to go see this person. I got to make a phone call. Pay attention to that. Even the other day, I was just sitting back, and I'm like, a friend of mine that I've known forever, I kept on feeling his energy coming in really strong. I mean, he doesn't live here. I haven't seen him for years. And I'm like, I got to call him. And I did. So you will understand why, you know. So don't ignore those situations. I've heard people say, I really felt that calling, something was off with my friend or family member or my animal, even my pet. And I ignored it. And then all of a sudden you find out they passed away. Right. I'm just saying, really pay attention to these signs we're getting, or like there, you'll see and understand why. And even if you talk to them, you might be like, okay, I talked to them. And then you soon find after that something's happened. Right. Maybe they got news they're at stage 4 cancer, or there's an accident or something. So don't ignore any of these signs at all. You know, at all. Never do. Now, I always stress the importance out with that. So this is going to be a week when you're going to, as I mentioned, you're going to see your worth more. You're going to start loving and accepting yourself a lot more. You're going to be like, no, that's not okay. This is who I am, take it or leave it. You know what I mean? Like there's always going to be people that like you and there's always going to be people that don't like you, but does that matter? As no, you know, we all see things differently. We're all different energies, but yet we're one collective walking our own journey here on earth. Just be you. Stay true to you. So, anyways, let's just pull a couple of cards here. But you know, even the 22nd and 23rd, you you know how I said like you might make that phone call, right? More family connected. You could find that when you do that, like your family bonds might come closer together. Maybe some of you have had a falling out or something. You could find that things are getting resolved, you know, whatever it is. So this is a time when it's like, you know what, I need to really think before making a big decision. You know, there's a decision I have to make that this month myself. And I'm like, do I? I don't know. Should I? I don't know. Right. And it could happen very quickly, you know, and I'm like, okay, just kind of weigh out the good and the bad and all of these things. Make sure you do that. So don't just jump in and then, oh my God, oh, I just bought that house, or I just bought that car, or I just booked that flight, or like whatever. Do you know what I mean? So just the pros and the cons. And sometimes you're not going to know. You just jump in. That's how we learn, right? You know, some of the decisions that I make, people like, oh my God, that's just me. That's just me. There's a lot going on. I just don't talk about it, right? So stay true to you, but really communicate a lot more from your heart this week. You will see that you are, you know, you could find out from somebody, yeah, my mother is at stage 4, you know, or like whatever, you know what I mean? Just certain things like that. You're going to really wanting to make fresh starts, new beginnings, make something happen. You could have ended things on the 16th and 17th and like, you know what? I now know that I need to bring on new beginnings. You know, what I had to go through on the 16th and 17th that ended. Now I have to start moving on, picking myself back up, making these long-term goals. What is it I truly want? So it could be a really soulful week in a way. It's how you look at it, how you feel it. You know, there's like a certain place I want to go to, but I can feel the ground like this. So I'm like, I'm not going to go there, right? Even though I'd love to, but I just feel the ground like this, which earthquake something. And oh, I don't even want to look into it because anyways. So let's take a look at the energies what the universe has for us. I don't use cards. I'm a clairvoyant psychic medium. I'm also an animal communicator. So if your animals that have passed on, there's messages. And if your animals are here and present, I get messages. I get messages 24/7 from many different beings, ascended masters, energies, and so on from the other life. So past life readings as well, I do, and so on and so on and so on. So let me just have a talk with the animals here. We're going to talk to Power Animals Oracle cards by Stephen Farmer. Make sure you clear your decks, by the way. So what is the message for the week of the 16th of, God, we're already sneaking into, oh. So this card fell out, which is very interesting. It's the snake. Snake is all about healing. Snake is all, you might, some of you might have dreams about snakes, right? You know, snakes, this is the year of the snake too, by the way. Snake is all about transformation, shedding the old skin to bring into the new skin, rebirth. You know, it's all about healing. You might be drawn to like more Eastern healing modalities like acupuncture or like Reiki, you know, rather than going on medications and so on. You know, I've always told people we need the Western and Eastern medicine combined as both, right? Of course, you know, as I've always said, if I had heart issues, I'm going to go see a heart surgeon. I'm not going to go see like an acupuncture, right? So it's that balance. And with this being the year of the snake, you know, it's all about healing, you know, rebirth. And snakes are also deceitful as well and can be very painful. So really pay attention to the people that you are feeling that aren't being honest with you. There's a lot of deceit out there. You know, be careful who you trust. Just things like that. Go and listen to your intuition. Do you know what I mean? So how fitting for this week when we still have the Chiron energy, which is going to continue throughout this year, by the way, right? And you've been healing from things, and maybe something happened on the 16th and the 17th where you're like, oh, I need a healing from that. I'm getting a message coming through, by the way, but as for me, and it's like, really? You're giving me a message for myself right here? But it happens. Like I get messages all the time. I have no control over that. It's something I already know that I have to deal with today. The Oracle of Portals, we're going to be having a little chat with Tess Whitehurst. There you go. What is the message from the 16th of the 23rd? So of course, not all of you guys are going to connect with the cards, right? Of course not. You do that, then this is the card for you. What is the message from the 16th of the 23rd? 16th to the 23rd, freedom. What happens when you make a choice, when you make an ending? There's new doors that opens up. You hold the key in your own cage to open the door. Yeah, but Jenny, I don't know. Like, how do I end this? Endings, especially if we have to end a situation with a partner, let's say, right? Your person. It's always painful. It's never an easy thing. But I'm all of these things, right? Nobody likes to purposely hurt other people unless that's just who you are, right? So when we want to make changes, we are the only person who can do that. You know, that's what it's like. If you start to depend on somebody to do this, and that, your life is on hold. And then, well, I'm pointing the finger at that person or these people, or if you're not happy, end it. If you're not happy, resolve it. Move on, find somebody else. You know, and if you're ending a relationship with somebody, you're going to need time to heal and reflect from that. You know, there's emotions and love and feelings involved, right? So it takes time, but it's like, wow, once I made that decision, you know, all of a sudden, all of these new doors open up for me. When we let go of the wrong things, the right things open up for us, you know, and we all have different cycles as well. So, you know, there's certain cycles we go through that just naturally end. And we're like, oh, thank gosh, right? Thank gosh that period is over, especially certain cosmic times, you know, Mercury retrograde and just certain times. It can be really like, oh God, you know, like traveling issues, communication issues, like just so many different things. So, you know, it's like that freedom of, oh, now the veil is lifted. Now I have my freedom. Like certain things, and that's personal just for yourself, of course, right? So I'm just going to pull one last card here. We're going to have a talk with the universe. The Universe Has Your Back by Gabrielle Bernstein. Have a little chat, shall we? It's a message from the 16th of the 23rd. 16th of the 23rd. What is the message from the universe specifically? What is the message from the universe? Message from the universe. So make sure you guys like my video. You know, it helps. I'm on Instagram. I'm all over the place. Wow. The universe works fast when I'm having fun. Yeah, of course. If you're not going through a good time, if you're bored, if you're upset, what happens? Oh my God, Jenny, I felt like I was there for hours and days and months and years. Of course. When you're having such a good time, time flies by so quickly. Yes. When was the last time you did something really fun? When was the last time you let go? When was the last time you're like, you know what, I'm going to go on a picnic. Like, I'm going to go to Disneyland, right? Like, whatever it is that you enjoy and have fun with, start doing that. Start doing that. We have to have that balance with everything. So now, how many of you are joining me live right here on YouTube on the 31st of May at 12 noon Mountain Standard Time, 2 p.m. Eastern or 11 a.m. Pacific? to have a free clairvoyant psychic reading by me. You're only going to find out if you tune in. Namaste.